Word spread like wildfire that Marc Webb confronted Rachel Zegler in the days following Snow White's catastrophic financial results.
This girl does not deserve a feature-length film.
You want to trash that legacy? That company that now Disney has screwed up the last 5 years trying to please a small percentage of minorities in America? Yeah, we're sick of it. So the more you do this, Disney, Iger, Zegler, whatever her name is, yes, this is exactly the backlash you're going to get from parents who have kids who are your customers. You're supposed to win parents over. You're talking to kids, the parents pay for the tickets. You have to be a dummy as a marketer. If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what? Pay her a couple $1 million, go away. We're going to bring another person to play this role because you just screwed this thing up.
Witnesses claim he marched into a private gathering with the higher-ups, slammed the numbers on the table, and declared Rachel's constant commentary about the original fairy tale as the root cause of the fiasco. He supposedly pointed out that her interviews alienated longtime Disney lovers.
At $70 million on the film, the studio opted for a small LA premiere held Saturday in the middle of the day with limited press. Zegler greeted children dressed as Snow White. She was not at Disneyland on Sunday, where Gal Gadot promoted the film, surrounded by children dressed as her character, the evil queen,
turning them off from supporting the project. According to whispers from inside the room, the tension was off the charts. The standoff was so fierce, some folks even left early, not wanting to watch the meltdown unfold. Marc Webb, known for his creative brilliance, rarely loses his cool in public.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because we cast a guy in the movie. Andrew Burnap, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's all.
But this time was different. He apparently unleashed all his frustrations about the film's marketing strategy, promotional appearances, and the widespread backlash. The heartbreak on Rachel's face was undeniable, fueling rumors that she raced to her car in tears. But that wasn't the whole story. Moments after Marc Webb's harsh words cut through the conference room, Rachel reportedly collapsed into a storm of sobs. Her close friends say she felt cornered, completely unprepared for the onslaught of accusations. The meltdown was so intense she had to be escorted out.
Just went from bad to worse for Snow White, and it's shaping up to become one of the biggest bombs of all time.
Tears streaming down her face, while hush-hush phone calls erupted among the film's producers. Rage and sorrow mixed in a heartbreaking cocktail of emotion as Rachel realized how serious the blame game had become. Rumor has it she was shouting about feeling betrayed, insisting that the studio greenlit every one of her public statements, and that no one warned her about crossing any lines. She felt singled out.
Would this make you want to go watch the movie?
Everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
she's a good actress,
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Thrown under the bus by the very people who had once praised her as Disney's future. Some say she ranted about the hypocrisy of supporting her fresh perspective, only to blame her when it backfired. And what happened next would shock everyone. The moment word of Rachel's meltdown broke, social media lit up with furious debates. Longtime Disney fans raged online, claiming that they'd been fed up with her remarks for months. They felt she disrespected the cherished legacy of Snow White.
Disney responded by scaling back the premiere. I don't know that anyone really showed up to the premiere. The Rotten Tomatoes reviews are looking pretty bad, and they did, it seems like they tried to tweak a few things, but this movie is bad.
With one group even labeling her the destroyer of Disney's innocence. Hashtags erupted, some demanding that she be replaced, while others insisted she didn't deserve all the blame. A surge of Rachel's supporters also emerged, arguing that the bigwigs at Disney had used her as a mouthpiece for controversial updates and then abandoned her once the backlash turned ugly. They insisted that pinning the entire failure on one actress was not only unfair but ridiculous in a production of that size. Meanwhile, cynics shot back.
At the end of the day, we're still women, we still want to be in love, and we still like men. And we still want to find a man that will treat us well. But nope, that is a very outdated social construct.
mocking Rachel's heartbreak as crocodile tears and calling her meltdown an act of self-pity. This wave of chaos caught the attention of mainstream entertainment news outlets, intensifying the controversy further. Reports surfaced about heated fan letters, escalating arguments in online forums, and an outpouring of disappointment from nostalgic watchers who felt the film's essence had been ripped away. Yet, for every voice condemning Rachel, another voice rose to defend her. It was utter madness. But in the background, a deeper story was brewing.
Campaign.
I am. Why do they look so smug? They both have that look on their face, just like the feminists, like, yeah, we're so much.
Long before the Snow White box office numbers came in, Rachel Zegler was no stranger to viral headlines. She'd openly criticized elements of the original 1937 animated classic, calling it outdated and in need of a modern reimagining. At first, her courage to speak up was praised. People admired her determination to adapt the story for a new generation, especially considering how many have called Snow White problematic over the years. But that admiration quickly twisted into anger when she seemingly doubled down on her stance in multiple interviews, describing the classic fairy tale as lacking depth.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs.
And featuring a heroine who didn't reflect contemporary values. A portion of the fan base felt attacked, as if she was insulting their childhood memories. Voices on social media amplified every sentence, painting her as someone who hated the very role she was hired to play. Those seeds of resentment only grew when it became obvious that other cast members weren't as outspoken. Some of them, like Gal Gadot, managed to dodge controversy by staying vague and positive in interviews. Rachel's candor, meanwhile, made her the center of attention. And now that the film has flopped, that spotlight is downright scorching.
So we're a different kind of prince.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in them.
And that's when everything changed. Gal Gadot, portraying the evil queen, reportedly kept to herself during the meltdown. Sources say she maintained an icy professionalism throughout filming, neither defending nor condemning Rachel's remarks. Some fans interpret her silence as
not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
Quiet disapproval, speculating that she might have chosen not to get involved to protect her own image. Meanwhile, lesser-known supporting actors stayed out of the fray, presumably to avoid damaging their budding careers. The rumor mill churned. Out juicy tidbits about a rumored on-set conflict. Rachel allegedly confronted a fellow cast member who tried to advise her to tone down her critiques of the original Snow White. The tension escalated, leaving many to suspect that rifts within the team were forming long before the film premiered.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937.
With Marc Webb allegedly stepping in only after the movie bombed, it painted a picture of a fractured cast that never fully gelled. Privately, some of these co-stars are reported to have confided in close circles, describing a set overshadowed by disagreements over how to present the iconic story. They claimed that while certain lines and scenes were directed to appear fresh and modern, the marketing department insisted on capitalizing on nostalgia. This contradiction, they say,
there's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Created a breeding ground for conflict, culminating in the ultimate blame falling on Rachel's shoulders. But the industry at large had more to say. As gossip swirled about Rachel's breakdown and Marc Webb's fury, Hollywood insiders couldn't stop analyzing the potential fallout. Some believe Rachel's career might be on precarious footing. The meltdown and subsequent condemnation could scare off studios worried about hiring an actress who might be perceived as too outspoken. Others argue that controversy sells, meaning she might bounce back quickly. After all, any publicity is good publicity in Tinseltown. Agents and producers have already begun their behind-the-scenes whisper campaigns, assessing whether Rachel's SMIMO brand is tarnished beyond repair or ripe for a comeback story. The film's disastrous box office performance looms like a menacing cloud, a cautionary tale for creative teams dealing with cherished IPs. Nonetheless, a few contrarian voices argue that the real culprit is reboot fatigue and that pinning the blame on one actress is not only cruel but short-sighted. Yet for now, the loudest rumors declare that Rachel is teetering on the edge of a Hollywood downfall. Casting directors may hesitate, public sentiment is volatile, and a new wave of up-and-coming talent is eager to fill any vacant spots. Rachel, once hailed as the next big Disney icon, might be forced to retreat from the spotlight until the dust settles, or until she finds a more strategic way to harness the scandal and flip it to her advantage. Still, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Disney, already no stranger to controversies around its endless parade of live-action remakes, stands at a crossroads. High-profile flops in recent years have eroded confidence among fans, causing them to question whether these reimaginings can capture the magic of the originals. The Snow White fiasco, magnified by the blame game swirling around Rachel Zegler, might well be the final straw for some. Online communities are ablaze with cynicism, claiming Disney has lost its creative spark. Doubters proclaim that the era of live-action remakes is officially done, referencing this meltdown as proof the creative well has run dry. Insiders, however, maintain that Disney's brand is too huge to fail and that future hits are inevitable. Yet, the stench of controversy lingers, with even casual viewers now associating Snow White with drama, scathing reviews, and financial disappointment. The critical question is whether Disney will learn from the fiasco. If executives truly believe that misguided marketing and a fractious production environment led to this downfall, they might tighten creative control. Or they might dig in deeper, ignoring fan outcry in favor of forging ahead with their own vision. Either way, the fiasco has left a permanent mark, and it all starts with the fury unleashed by Marc Webb and the meltdown triggered in Rachel Zegler. But there's one more twist. Word is spreading like wildfire that Marc Webb and top Disney executives are deep in high-stakes talks, behind closed doors, behind guarded NDAs, and behind the thickest walls money can buy. But even with all their secrecy, whispers are leaking out, and what they reveal is intense. The conversation isn't just about damage control, it's about survival, and Rachel Zegler's fate hangs by a thread. Multiple insider leaks suggest a brutal ultimatum has been placed on the table. Rachel may be forced to issue a public apology, not just a generic PR script, but a full-on face-to-camera apology where she acknowledges her role in the film's catastrophic fallout. Sources say Disney wants her to own up to alienating the core fan base and causing brand confusion with her viral statements. She's being painted as the face of the chaos, the lightning rod that drew fire from every direction, and now they allegedly want her to grovel or be gone. But here's where it gets even darker. Refusing to comply may come with permanent consequences. Rumors suggest Disney is preparing to quietly blacklist her from future projects if she doesn't play ball. No more princess roles, no Marvel cameos, no Pixar voiceovers, just a silent shutout. They won't say it out loud, but it's the Hollywood equivalent of being ghosted by the world's biggest entertainment empire. Marc Webb, meanwhile, is walking a delicate tightrope. He's furious, allegedly livid, about the PR nightmare surrounding Snow White, and many believe he's the one pushing for Rachel's accountability. But he's also still under contract for future projects with Disney. That means he can't afford to blow up his own career in the process. So now, there's this twisted chess game playing out. He's trying to protect his vision, his reputation, and his long-term deals, all while being caught in a swirling vortex of public outrage and corporate panic. And here's the kicker: Disney is split. Some execs are reportedly siding with Webb, claiming Rachel's actions caused irreversible harm to a legacy brand. Others are allegedly worried about how forcing a young Latina actress to publicly take the fall might spark a whole new wave of backlash, accusations of sexism, racism, tokenism. They're not just fighting to protect their billion-dollar brand, they're fighting to avoid triggering the next viral scandal. Now, insiders are warning, if Rachel apologizes and it comes off fake, she's finished. Audiences are sharp. They'll sniff out inauthenticity in a heartbeat. But if she refuses and doubles down, defending her statements as feminist truth and sticking to her guns, she risks total exile. There's no easy win here, only a lose-less situation, if that. Her next move could either trigger a redemption arc or a full-on implosion. And let's not forget how this drama rewrites the legacy of Marc Webb. Known for his work on The Amazing Spider-Man, he was once seen as a bold creative choice to bring Snow White into the 21st century. Now, he's at the center of what many are calling a brand-killing disaster. If he's seen as the one who pushed Rachel over the edge, fans could turn on him next. But if he's seen as the man who saved Disney's integrity by demanding accountability, he might come out as the hero. It all depends on who controls the narrative in the coming days. The stakes? Astronomical. Careers hang in the balance. Reputations teeter on the edge. And with Disney's reputation already bruised from other recent controversies, the Marvels, Haunted Mansion, the streaming losses, they can't afford another major scandal. That means they're not just looking for a way out, they're looking for a clean exit, one that protects the castle without burning the villagers. Behind the scenes, Rachel's team is said to be scrambling. Crisis PR firms have allegedly been consulted. Some say she's considering a redemptive tour, including a feature in Vanity Fair or The Hollywood Reporter to tell her side of the story, reframe the narrative, and stir up sympathy. Others believe she'll vanish for a while, go silent, rebrand, and reemerge in 2 years with an indie film and a new identity. But there's no playbook for what's happening now. No map for how to navigate a meltdown this public, this personal, and this politically charged. What happens next could change everything, not just for Rachel and Marc, but for every rising star watching from the sidelines, wondering just how much speaking their mind is really worth in an industry built on illusion. For now, Disney holds the sword. Marc Webb stands behind them, demanding justice for a film that slipped through his fingers. And Rachel Zegler? She's standing alone, caught in the glare of every spotlight, every headline, every whispered accusation. Whatever move she makes next, it will be watched, judged, dissected, and remembered. This isn't just a PR disaster, it's a cautionary tale in the making. And the end hasn't even been written yet. Marc Webb has allegedly unleashed a staggering blow against Rachel Zegler, labeling her the architect of Snow White's disastrous run. For Rachel, that blow feels like a betrayal of the highest order, igniting the meltdown that's now the talk of Tinseltown. Fans are split. Some see her as the scapegoat for deeper failures, while others hold her personally responsible for tarnishing a beloved classic. No matter what side you're on, it's undeniable that Rachel's outspokenness about modernizing Snow White put her in the eye of a storm she may never fully escape. But is this the end of Rachel's Hollywood story, or simply the brutal turning point she needs to rise again? Will Marc Webb smooth over the chaos, or will he continue to stand his ground, unwavering in his conviction that the blame belongs to her? And ultimately, does Disney care enough to step in with a saving hand, or will they let the meltdown speak for itself? The tension is palpable, and the real final chapter may not be written for quite some time. One thing's for sure, the fiasco has left a giant crack in the magic mirror of the House of Mouse. Rachel Zegler's tears echo the pain of a generation of fans who wanted to see a cherished story gracefully brought into the modern era, only to watch it crumble under creative disagreements and fierce accusations. The entire affair should serve as a reminder of how quickly destinies can shift in Hollywood. One moment you're a rising star singing praises, and the next you're alone in a room with the director pointing the finger straight at you. Only, time will tell if Rachel's meltdown will fade into obscurity or stand as a brutal lesson in career survival, where every interview, every statement, and every opinion can spark a storm you can't outrun. Right now, hearts are pounding, alliances are breaking, and the industry stands divided on how to interpret this drama. Whether Rachel emerges stronger or shattered, there's no question that the echoes of this confrontation will haunt everyone involved for years to come, especially when the dust settles and we all see exactly how deep the cracks run. And that's where we leave this unbelievable saga, urging you to think beyond the spectacle. Because if one rumor can wield this much power, what else might be lurking beneath Hollywood's surface, ready to erupt the moment the cameras stop rolling?